Good morning, everybody. Oh, nice. Hold on a second. I got to pause for the cause. No one believes I'm here, so I'm going to take a picture of you good folks. So, this thing don't work. All right, now hold on now. Hold on. Easy. Kind of like being at a Dave Matthews concert. So, you know, the funny thing is that blows my mind is, well, welcome everyone that's especially new to Brown Providence for the first time. But as Colin was saying the thing and as they were pulling me in, and people outside saying, oh, you're going to kill it, you're going to do this. Even a lady on the bus was like, you're going to kill it. I was like, ooh, this woman don't even know me. But so the crazy thing is, as I'm coming down on the bus, right, I got my notes, some things I just want to highlight. Don't worry about the pen, I'll get that later. Thank you for the attempt, though. So here's how it goes. I'm looking at my notes, but I'm on the bus with a person. She's sitting right next to me. So some people get off the bus, right? And she thinks I am concerned about this, and then soon as I finish this, going to teach a class like at 10, so I'm a beat feet. Remind me to grab my bag. So, and some socks. So now, Christmas presents. So then she looks and says, you look nervous. And I was like, you know what? Honestly, I'm not. What I'm thinking is, now that people have gotten off the bus, I'm wondering if you're thinking what I normally think when somebody gets off the bus, like there's an empty seat right there, why don't you get in it? So she's like, didn't cross my mind. I was like, okay, I'm off the bus. And then I ran over here. But anyhow, thank you all. I don't even know why I shared that. It just like cracked me up this morning as I was coming over. So a lot of things, as Colin would know, like things just crack me up, and that's the moment of things. So yesterday, like this is a week of me being pulled into things like unexpectedly, like just didn't know. Colin sends me this chat or a text or a call at like, I don't know, 4 o'clock, we get summer hours and it's 4 o'clock, right? And he's like, urgent requests. I facilitate soft skill classes. What can be so urgent? Like, I'm not helping. So then I decide to call him back. And then he's like, hey man, listen, this happened. I need you to fill in. Can you? No, I can't. I got things to do. And then he said, can you get someone? Then I give him somebody. And then he goes and gets somebody. Then they say, try these people. I look at the people, I'm like, what the heck? My wife said, you do it. I said, why not? Colin, I got you covered. And then here I am. So again, all of that to say, this, my friend, is the future of work. This is the future of work. Like, we have to balance and maintain because everybody's stressed out. Everybody's pulled thin. Yesterday, I'm chilling out, minding my own business. The chair of the department I used to, the school I went to said, hey, listen, graduates are there and I need somebody to come and talk to them and tell them what the real world's gonna be like. So I'm like, cool. She said, I need you to come down. Like right now? So I was like, okay, cool. So I go down and I'm talking to these young people, right? And they're saying, when we get out of college, we're gonna make all of this money. And then someone asked me a question. Like, you mentioned you started as a mechanic. So here's the relation to everyone in this room. I started my career with an associate's degree as a mechanic, right? So then I spent a lot of money in this school to realize once I got a job as a mechanic, I don't like to get dirty. That's a lot of money. So then I quit. You know, somebody asked me like, hey, do you want to be a mechanic? He said, look around. Is there anyone here you want to be in 5 years? I said, no. He said, you need to get out of this business. So I went home, told my girlfriend, who's my wife now, I said, hey, I'm getting out this business. She said, what are you going to do? I said, I have no idea. I said, but there's this guy I saw downtown said he's selling perfume. So I quit. I sold my tools like for $250 because I had to buy her something with that $50 because she wasn't on board. And then I left. So then I did some, so as we're mapping out this is the future of work, you know? So now I leave that. When I leave that, I'm doing this stuff, and then I go into the telemarketing thing, and then I'm doing some unloading trucks and everything, and it's crazy because we do what we have to do because when we're stressed out, it's the job. So I'm asthmatic. Now I'm working on a dock, and it's dusty as heck. I'm like blowing, but I'm like killing this pump every day, all day. The doc's like, hey, you good? I'm like, it's the job. And then I'm hanging out with my brother one day in New Jersey, and we are getting, everybody over 21? Okay, we're having some drinks, right? So it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, and he says he gets on his computer and starts doing some stuff. And I'm like, what are you doing? And he worked for Prudential at the time, and I just see zeros and ones going across the street, bits and bytes. And he said, I'm moving money. I said, what? He said, my man, what you should do is get into computers. You can make a whole lot of money real fast. I had no idea what that meant, but I knew when I was drunk and I woke up, I need to revisit that. My wife, we married at this time, and we had our daughter. And I said, babe, I got to get into computers. She said, why? I said, John said I should. She said, well, you guys drinking? I said, yeah. She said, you got to do it. I was like, I got to do it. So I need that. I need our last $400 that we have that your parents gave us for that child. I need to go to school. So now here's the crazy thing. When I went to college, when I went back to school, it was like one of them certificate programs, right? So the certificate program taught me Microsoft Office, and I'm thinking that's computers. My brother's a programmer, and I'm doing this. So now, as the journey is unfolding, this is almost like the freaking Alchemist, the book The Alchemist. Like, to think that all of these skills are inside of me. I go to work on office, and then I go to get a job, and it's a secretary job. So the person says, hey, how can you type? No, not really. So I'm one of them people that's cursed with, I look smarter than I actually am. So she said, of course you can. I was like, I don't know. So then I sat there and started doing stuff. And she said, wow, once you go home and learn, start typing and stuff. So I go home and I learned how to type. I get my wife's book and just sat there and learned the keys. This is future of work. We improve our condition based on what is in front of us. That's what we do. And then once I learned how to type, I became a secretary. I was so good at it because the lady said, when I know you're good at it, I won't even know you're there. And then what happened was I said, if I could be a secretary, I could be something else. Once I started thinking about something else, I said, I look at people and I say to tech support people. And I said, hey man, what is that you guys do? He starts talking about it. I asked this guy, Warren Manigault, and I said, Warren, can you show me how to do some of that tech support? He said, sure, read this book, come and hang out with me. I work from 8 to 5. Warren comes in from 5 to 10. I'm staying till 10. We've all been there, that we're just putting in this work. And then he said, I think you're ready. So I went to my friend and my supervisor at the time, Francis Kuhn, and I said, listen, I want to be in tech support. He said, if you know everything in this book, you can show me. You can do it. I called my wife and I said, baby, I won't be home this weekend. I'm going to go ahead and figure out this book. This is the future of work because now I'm mapping my future. And as I'm mapping my future, he said, well, I don't know if I can do this for you. And that's the first time I heard someone say you need to be the driver of your own bus. And I said, okay, cool. So now in improving my condition, I said, I'm going to move the heck on. And then he said, no, Keith, I need you to stay here. So they made me a call management operator. Now, call management operator, they paid me to be in tech support because they couldn't give me that job. Then I start setting my sights on the person that was the worst in the department, to be as good as that person. And then I get into the department. Everything's groovy, everything's great. But then I seen more. So now, as the great poet Jay-Z said, the more I get, the more my ambition tells me there's more. And then Socrates says the other thing, hey, the more I learn, the more I realize I don't know. So I know nothing but my own ignorance. And now when I start figuring things out, I get into tech support, become really good at it. And then my life, my career is like a Lemony Snicket's novel, a series of unfortunate events. So the manager leaves and I said, hey man, can I get that job? He said, the people will not respect you from a telemarketer to this. This is who we are. Now again, I'm navigating the future again. And as I navigate the future, we start looking at it and say, hey, let me pause for a second. Is there anyone here that can't relate to these bumps? Beautiful. I was saying, I know there's always got to be one person, but I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. Never had to do anything like that. So looking at the room, once I left that, and I said, you know what? I need to do more. So then I go back to employee number one. That's my wife, actually. So we got a house and our offices are right next to each other. So she's one and I'm number two. So I said, hey, I need to go back to school and get this bachelor's degree. She said, why? I said, because I can't excel before that. So when they wouldn't give me the job, she says, so, well, what are you going to do? And I sat there and I complained. And then I'm in school, but I'm complaining. And then I'm upset because she won't, pay me no attention. And then she turns around and turns her laptop around and said, "Here, man, here's your resignation letter." She said, "This is the money I've been taking out your check all of this time. It's called the Go to Hell Fund." That propelled me to finish school and leave that job and then go to someone, and it's crazy. Now, this is offshoot kind of deal. When I left that job, what I did is I went to work at my local library just to volunteer to help people, because there was someone teaching people Microsoft Office skills, but they were kind of condescending to the people, the single moms that's coming back. So I said, I can do that. And my wife said, "Why don't you go do that?" So now that $400 was not in vain. That taught me how to teach someone. We told him to kick rocks, and I was helping him do it. And then one night, dare I say, we're watching this boxing match, a couple of friends of mine. Like, we were all chilling out, having a good time. And then someone calls my friend Thompson, and he said, "Keith," now it's a boxing match, middle of the night, so we kind of been drinking. So he said, "Keith, do you still want to work at Brown?" I said, "I do not remember ever saying I wanted to work at Brown. I do not ever remember saying that." And he said, "Are you sure?" I was like, "I'm pretty sure I never said I wanted to work at Brown." He said, "Well, there's someone on the phone that want to talk to you about working at Brown." And I said, "I can't talk to him right now because we've been doing this pretty good tonight." He said, "Well, he has been too, so talk to him." I said, "Okay, cool." So we're talking, and we're having this amazing conversation about me working at Brown, right? And he said, "All you have to do is apply, and you're a shoo-in to get in." And I said, "Let me ask you a question. How did you know me? Like, how did you know me? Like to call me? Because I obviously didn't look for Brown." He said, "You helped my aunt in Taunton, Mass., which is about 40 miles away from here, at a library, helped her learn office skills and helped her get a job." I said, "Is that right?" He said, "You are someone I need to know and need to bring into Brown." That's how I got to Brown. Now, how crazy is that? Then two, how crazy is it that, like, to say, "Oh man, you're lying." How crazy is that Colin said I'm his first choice when his person fell down? Because Colin and I got history. When Colin calls, we're IT, some IT folk in here. When IT needs help, IT people fall in line. That's why I'm here, because of that man. Colin right there, that's the reason I came. Because anybody else, I'd be like, kind of got things to do. Because as soon as I finish this, I got to hustle down to the third floor and jump on a call to teach the class I was supposed to be prepping for right now. So when we talk about future work, that's why you can't let me forget that bag. So now, once we've done that, right? So this is, and again, when I talk future work, this is all of us. We're all navigating it. We've all been navigating it. And then when I'm at Brown, and Brown can do no more for me, the deputy CIO, the CIO, we have a conversation, my supervisor, Stephanie, and she said, and I said, "There's nowhere else for me to go," because they bought me a master's, paid for my daughter to go to college, and said, "Hey, listen, give me a year, and if you give me a year, I'll see what we could do for you, and if we can't, we'll shake hands and let you go." And I said, "Okay, great. My daughter's about to graduate college, so December come around, we still ain't really make no moves on what I'm gonna do next." And I said, "Okay," they said, "Keith, what are you gonna do?" I said, "I'm still here." Then December, when they made that last payment, I said, "Okay, I'm ready to start talking about moving on." So my wife said, "Hey," because now everyone is starting to buy into the way I move in life, my friends and everyone, you guys too. She said, "Now go and give your talent away. You've given it to Brown for 11 years, go give it away." So I left and went to this company called Year Up, where there's underprivileged students that can't go to college for whatever their reason, and I started writing curriculums for them, IT curriculums. And then once the pandemic came, it's crazy, they was like, "Okay, it's a nonprofit," so I'm flying all over the country, writing these curriculums, because anyone here, is there IT people in here? Any IT people? Okay, so with IT in New England is different than IT in California. So you have to be there. So now I need to be there on ground and see what the IT folks are doing. Because if I talk to the boss is going to give me this high-level thing that no one understands what's going on. And then I'll build the curriculum and it's going to be completely wrong. So I need to get with the workers. So then when the pandemic comes and they was like, "Listen, you can either take the buyout or you can take a pay cut, but we're letting go some of your team. So that 70 hours you're working is going to be like 85 for a nonprofit." and the pay cut, it's a nonprofit. I'm not going to recoup that money. So I planned my own future. I'm going to take the buyout and I'm going to take a year off. I'm going to read books. I'm going to drink wine and I'm going to hang out. Just what I'm going to do. That's the plan. Then 3 days later, Salve Regina, another college called, said, hey, listen, man, we got this job we want to talk to you about. I never applied for Salve. Someone just knew I was on the market. And then a month later, I'm at Salve. And then someone at Brown said, hey, we hear you're on the market. You want to come to Brown? I said, I just signed on to this place, so if you give me a year, I'll reevaluate. A year later, someone called and said, hey, and then that's how I got back to Brown. So the point of all of that is we're all navigating the future of work as it applies to us. If everyone takes a moment and navigate their plan, they've all been doing the exact same thing. That make sense? So in a crazy kind of way, and I want to be respectful of time, oh, that was like 15 minutes. Jeez Louise, I was like saying I thought I was done. So all of that, now I did take some notes because this is what we're here for, to talk about the human element of things. So in my notes, what I did, when I did some research, it was pre-COVID trends, okay? No photos. Hey man, no photos. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I got that from Iron Man. You remember? Oh, actually, he said no gang signs. That's what okay. So, happy Wednesday, everybody. Happy Wednesday. So, the pre-COVID trends, because it's like, you know what? We know what we live in, but no one takes the time to say, how did we get here or where we are? So I said, let me always research backwards and say, as Malcolm X once said, of all our studies, history is best qualified to reward all research. So now I've gone back in history to 2020. Now, the office trends back then were traditional office, 5 days a week, okay? So what's the benefit? Ease of collaboration, coworkers can walk past your desk, ask you questions, distract you, all of that stuff. But then, here's something crazy. Remote friendly is on the same list. These were the trends. So remote was always there, okay? So the remote friendly was option to work 4 days a week in the office and 1 day out. This was 2020. Now, we were all focused on being in the office, so we never even thought about that one person that was not in the office. But then you had remote first. There's always someone, for whatever reason, that's always remote. And then they come into the office for meetings and things like that. And then you have that fully remote person that's just bumping around places. So this was always there. It just, we are now shining a light on it because there's a reshuffle of things. That makes sense? This is 2020. So now, today, now here's the part that gets interesting. Today, you know, we have a hybrid workplace, that's our thing, but here's the thing that I was most interested in. They talk about the flexible workplace that empowers employees to work where they want to be and balancing their time, office time. We all kind of know that buzzwords and cliche words that they say working hybrid gives you this great work-life balance. BS. You're busting your behind if you're working from home. You're killing yourself at home. Like today, my day is this. I got the next thing. I got a home delivery coming for a TV that we planned to have come to our house. And I wasn't supposed to be here, so I was supposed to be home. And then at 1 o'clock, we got a couch being delivered. And then in between all of that, I got meetings going on. So my wife and I are trying to balance our schedule, like who's not going to be doing what so we could be there to do what we got to do. In the same house, just downstairs. And on top of that, the reason why we got to balance that is because our Ring doorbell stopped working. So now we got to wait for this cool knocker we got on the door. It's actually a pretty cool knock. It's a cat. And she wanted to take it down. I was like, are you out of your mind? It's like, it's a cat. Like, what do you know? And she's like, we don't even like cats, but this knocker is to die for. So, got to see it. Ride by the house sometime. Actually, all of you can't ride by my house. It'd be kind of creepy. But then, so here's the crazy thing about it. I always look at other trends. So Like, we should stop the show like the Blue Man Group and tell her to come back. I'm just kidding, I'm kidding. So, 50% of employees polled, and this is a purpose of workplace study by Deloitte, struggle with connecting to their company's culture during COVID, including with working remote. It's 50%, all right? But didn't really put too much stock in that because 50% the other way. This one, 55% of employees working remotely during COVID had a sense of well-being. 55% had a sense of well-being. All right? Now, what that means, that's not the important thing. I'm not a math major, but 45% do not have a sense of well-being. What about them? See, that should have been flipped. Because now we got to think of the well-being and the safety of people that we don't get a chance to see every day. You see? So being remote doesn't mean, you're not going through something. Just because I'm home and I'm isolated don't mean I'm not going through something. So we all have that thing, so we got to figure that out. But then here's the thing that made me smile a little bit. It's like all employees do not want to work remotely. So if everyone don't want to do it, what do we do about that? How do we handle that? See? So we move to today, okay? Now typically, just to be full transparency, I normally don't have notes in my hand because I came in on a pinch, so I kind of had to do what I had to do. So, and then the even crazier thing, my bag's out there, my glasses are out there, so I'm like, hoping nobody noticed. So I'm normally a lot more slick about this stuff, but it's like, and then I didn't even write this. It's like I should have used bigger fonts. So it's killing me. But then we think of today's modern workers, okay? So we had that trend back then. We had remote first, we had office, we had remote friendly, and we had people that were remote. So that was there already. We're navigating it differently because the trend has changed. It's almost like when I look around and I see everybody saying, oh, everything's good, but then you have that private conversation to be like, yeah, this sucks. It does. It does. Every day, all day. Like, my life sounds, like what I just mentioned sounds good, but it's stressful as heck because you know what? Even though I am not thinking about that class, that them 25 people with the 15 on my wait list that's trying to get in, that's probably blowing my phone up now saying, hey, can I get in? Even though I know that's waiting for me, the most important thing right now is this moment right here. And the reason why is because just like burnout's it's not new. We've all been burnt out for a long time. We've been burnt out before the pandemic. The pandemic just shined a light on it, that now we can't turn it off. So now when we talk about the work-life balance, it's shifted. So now when they polled it, 6% of people said, hey, I prefer to be in the office 100%. 6% of people said that. But then you have remote friendly. So it's not remote first. Now it's remote friendly. So it's like 29% to work 2 to 3 days from home. So now these things are happening. So how does this impact you as a leader or as an individual contributor? It impacts you is because it's sort of like a thing that we have to understand our people. And then by understanding our people, we have to say, like, what do you prefer? Do you prefer to work remote or home? Or a hybrid situation? Hybrid? Yeah, see? So now I can be there for the person. Now, is there anyone that prefer to be in the office all the day? Every day? See? That's good too. Because you know what? If I'm in the office and there are people that's not there, my work capacity goes up 200%. Now, here's the thing about when you're working in the office, okay? So when we talk about like a manager that says, and again, I'm doing research on future work because we're doing that at Brown. That's why this is stuff like so fresh in my head and I got all these crazy numbers. But when we think of like, okay, I prefer to be in the office all the time, then it's like, I prefer my team to be in the office all the time. But then some of my team don't want to be in the office all the time. So now we have to identify that. Why do they have to be there? Now, this is a manager thing. Why do they have to be there when this job can be done remotely? So now we start thinking about, is it because of trust? Is it because this job needs to be done here? And then if the job does not need to be done there, now we have to identify why. And someone has to be held accountable to that why. And that's what we're navigating now. Because if I want to be in the office several days a week, it's my option, because we said some people, everybody don't want to be remote. So we need to understand the workforce is changing, and how do we adapt to the change? Because if we don't adapt, they would say that whole adapt or die, you become obsolete pretty fast. When you get an agile leader that says, I want everybody to work from home, and you say, I refuse to. Or they say, I want everybody to be in the office, and then you're like, no, I don't want to be in the office. So now people have options. And then what happens is we are all our own individual contributors, because even if you are a leader, you are responding to someone. So you're an employee to someone. You may have a team, but you're an employee. So now when I look at this, that whole, well, let me give you the other numbers, because someone might have been writing that down. So the remote first is 28% preferred to be in the office 3 days remote, and then remote the other half. And then fully remote, 28% said they prefer to work fully remote. Now, I need a switch, because if I'm in the office all the time, there are people there sometimes. And then people are still navigating being around other people. And then once we've been hybrid for so long, you fall into a different zone when you're home. Then when you're in the office, and then you want to come and talk to me about the game, I surely want to talk about the game, but then I got to kickstart again. It's going to take me about 15 minutes to kickstart again, because I'm buzzing off the game, especially if we lost. So then we think of other things like the company culture. Okay, so now we're getting to the meat, the company culture. We talk about that all the time. And I'm pretty sure it wasn't me that came up with it. I mean, it was in one of those nights we were just all having a good old time, and someone just said it. You ever have that group of people you're with, and you're having a good old time with adult beverages, I'll say, and then you solve the problems of the world, and then you'd be like, huh. But one thing stuck there, and it was the company, whatever the company, that's the company. Then they say we have this culture, and then we have the people. Check this out. Every department has a different culture, because every department has different people. There is no one culture at Brown. There's no one culture at Salve or Harvard or any place where we are. Every culture is designed based on where you are. IT has a different culture than HR. Now, I done pivoted from IT to HR. How the heck I do that? Because I read a lot. I don't know. But then we come and talk about the company culture, right? So the company culture comes down to shifting from in-office pre-pandemic to remote pandemic to hybrid post-pandemic. It's impacting the workforce. Now, ... and their well-being. That's where we are today. It's how do we show grace, have some empathy for the people that are struggling, even if we don't know they are struggling. How do we get to that? So the way we do that is called, don't even need my notes for this one, situational leadership. So situational leadership is everyone gets treated individually for what they are. So we're growing out of that management style that what I do for you, I'm doing for you. Because now I need to understand what's going on with you. I need to meet with you more and understand that person. I don't want to steal my own thunder on personal needs, but there are personal needs for every individual, okay? So now, when we think of that, it's before we consider how the company culture will fit into the hybrid workplace, start by understanding how the pandemic has affected employees' well-being and what employees need to do to feel welcomed and included. That's what we need to start figuring out, because that's the human element. Empathy is the human element. Because at the office, what we have with situational leadership is Let's take a sports analogy. Tom Brady, okay? You don't treat Tom Brady like you treat the third string quarterback. You don't do it. They have different needs. The third string quarterback needs more. He needs more. Ring? Who got the ring?
Eli Manning does.
Ooh, 2 times.
Yeah, baby.
Wow.
February 6th and 5th.
Holy smokes.
12. Go Giants.
Go Giants. Big Blue. Big Blue. I'm from Big Blue. Like, he derailed all of this, man. We almost got into something. This that reset. This that reset. Lucky I ain't gotta run. I gotta run to something. But it, 2 times. Run it back. So when we think about the situational leadership, okay, when I have to talk to someone and understand how they are feeling, I actually have to listen empathetically and say, hey, when I put it on the table, because here's the thing. Edie Brickell has this song on her Shooting Rubber Bands at the Stars album, if somebody wanted to Google that. It's called Nothing. Everyone says it's fine, everyone says it's nothing. But in the song, she says, nothing keeps me up at night. Because there is something going on with all of us, and if no one, and I say from leadership, is acknowledging that we have these challenges that we can't get over. So that brings us to, there are 4 stages of situational leadership. Now, you can look it up when you get there, but it's the styles are directing, highly directive, and low support. That's pretty much where we are before the pandemic. And then you get to coaching, highly directive and high support. So now I need to understand, how are you feeling? And then ask specific questions, not the I'm fine. That doesn't lead you to fine. And then you have supporting, high support and low directive. So now when we're doing the supporting, like, listen, I'll support you, but I'm not going to remove the authority. You still have to do the work. I'm going to acknowledge something's happening, but I got to keep you honest with doing your own work, because, again, we're all doing a bunch of things. And when we move into this realm of, I know you're going through it, I'll take that on. Now, where is the psychological safety for the person that has to take that on? Because we don't understand what happened to that person, because 8 million stories in the naked city, to speak of New York. All right? So now you have, everyone has a story, everyone has a narrative, but no one wants to share it. Because here's the thing, you sit there with your people and be like, yo, this is crazy. And they say, you should speak up. Be like, nothing's going to happen. Because the higher you go, the rosier the view gets. You ever have a high-ranking person walk through your department, and then they say, hey, you know what? Tell them the truth. Not you. You don't come in today. Because they know you might tell the real truth. And then it's like, you stay over there. And you be like, they say, how's it going? Oh, it's amazing. We're doing great work. Be like, really? Serious? What's your name?
Me?
Yes.
Trisha.
Bring Trisha back in the room. Trisha be like, I got bills to pay. I'm going to drink this coffee over here. But therein lies that psychological safety. We don't have the capacity today. We're working towards it to say people should say the emperor is wearing pajamas. Because in this room today, we all know this story, that the higher you go, the rosier it gets. The president of the university walks by, nobody want to hear what's going on in your department. She just want to walk through and be like, everything's great. Good to see you. And then when she walk out, be like, some bull job, man. I should have told her what was on my mind. And then somebody reminds you, didn't you just buy a boat? Be like, yeah, maybe I should hold off on that. But then the last part of that is delegating, okay? So low support and low directive. The challenge with delegating is we all do it, but what the challenge is with delegating is there are levels to delegating. There is a continuum, okay? So there are some things us as leaders, we have to keep. We can give you input, but we got to keep that. Then there's some things we got to have, like idea generation. This is the new future of work. Like breaking that thing in, the idea generation. So when I ask you, your name? Sue. Steph. when I say Steph, when I, like Prince with Shaq Superman symbol, or Prince, that symbol, Steph. So when I say Steph, we need to kind of cut this budget by 15%. What should we do? What's your ideas? And Steph, give me a bunch of ideas. And then I look at those ideas and say, all right, cool. And now we have this conversation, and then I implement some because she gave them to me. But then if we see a lot that when they say, okay, I heard everything you said, and then be like, I'm gonna go this way anyway, then why'd you ask me? That part of delegation. And then there's that part that says, hey, I need you to do a training. I'm gonna give you complete authority to this because you know how to do this and you can close it and lock it down. So there are levels of delegation. We just kind of gotta pull them out. That's future of work because it leverages what you do and who the talent is on your team. And if you're an individual contributor and you have no leadership structure, you gotta rely on the team that's to the left or to the right of you. So when you say, oh, I'm a one-man band, I get it, I understand it, but then in that aspect of future work, it becomes about time management. And that's when you find someone to say, hey, how do I reprioritize the things because things are always coming up? So that's how we start introducing the human element of future of work. So now, I got some top tips, but, oh, you said do it? Okay, all right, cool. It was in my head and I was gonna keep going, but it slipped out. So the tip for managing remote teams, it was lay out boundaries. You gotta have daily check-ins, okay, with Trish and Sue. And then you have to have time for meaningful one-on-one conversations. I don't need to tell you my deep, dark secrets. I just need to understand what's going on with the work. And I need you to be honest because I'm gonna ask you very specific questions. So when we talk to our people today, we should now be using like discussion planners. We should be using talking points. So that way we can talk about what we need to talk about. So the other one is encourage social interaction, especially if you're remote. Talk to Trish, not about anything in particular, but just to let you know that we're here. We're here, you're not alone. Because everyone feels alone when they're out doing their thing. And they'll say, oh no, I love to be alone. I love nobody around me. But sure you do. And again, and I get it because I like being alone. Because I got my record collection behind me, and then when you call me, I'm like, dang man, I gotta turn Coltrane off for this. Damn it, Colin, what do you need me for? I need to do this presentation for 150 people. When? Tomorrow. Holy smokes, I should have not picked this phone up. But then, I'm actually glad I did. I'm really glad I did. So then the last one is avoid micromanaging. Now, here is where it gets tricky. You'd be like, oh, micromanaging is tricky? Of course it is. Of course it is. So now I have this group of 6 people, right? And I say, Sue knows what she's doing. I don't have to be on Sue every day. Gentleman behind her, kind of slacking on his Mac in the quote ODB. Dirt Dog from Wu-Tang Clan. He's slacking on his Mac, and so I kind of got to be in him every now and again, like, hey, you know, how's it going? I'm going to check in at 1, I'll check in at 4. Make sure you're doing what you got to do. That's a level of micromanaging. Then when he starts performing up to snuff, because he know I'm checking in, I can back off a little bit and then let him kind of go back down again, and then we talk again. And then as we go through, so this is situational leadership. Everyone is responsible for the work, but now we have to be accountable to them as they are accountable to us. Because I need to understand what you're doing, and then you need to make sure that I am paying attention, because what happens is sometimes the perspective from over here is different from the perspective over there. So crazy thing, I'm riding my bike. I bike ride to work and home, right? And so they told me I couldn't bike ride today because something came down. But anyway, so I took the bus. So now, here's the thing. I'm bike riding 2 weeks ago. We have this heat wave, all right? And it's crazy outside. It's like high 90s. And I'm biking home. And I'm actually talking to my sister. And I come around the mall over here, and this guy zooms down the hill past me, and he's on like one of them dirt bikes, and I got like a cruiser, commuter cruiser, so I'm kind of like chilling out, whatnot. And he turns the corner, and I said, I think, my man, you probably want to hear this.
I'll stick around.
Okay, all right, cool. I hate to be that dude. So anyway, so that's when everybody's supposed to say, stick around, stick around. But anyway, so what happens is he zips around, and I seen him, and I turned the corner, and I said to my sister, hey, you ain't gonna believe this. And she know whenever I say you ain't gonna believe this, it's always gonna be something like crazy. I said, I think the guy that went past me did not have any pants on. She said, what? I said, I'm pretty sure he had no pants on. So I'm biking, and then, like I said, I got a cruiser, and he's on a dirt bike, so at some point when we level off, I'm gonna catch up. So as I'm riding, and I'm looking, and she's like, did you catch him yet? I'm like, I'm coming up on him, baby. I'm coming. Like, easy. I don't want him to hear me. He probably can beat me. Come on now. Like, I don't want to take my bike. I got a better bike. So then I'm riding, and then I pull up near him, like this. And I said to my sister, I said, yo, he has on his drawers. She said, what? I said, yes. He ain't got on boxer briefs. He got on briefs. And his pants were pulled down here. And I'm riding up on him. He had a t-shirt on, and he rolling. And I said, that's crazy. And she said, you gonna tell him? I'm saying, I'm pretty sure he know. And we're straight up having this conversation. I said, I'm pretty sure he know. So now we talking perspective lens here. Like, I'm straight in judge mode. This dude's crazy. So I'm riding, and I get up on the side of him, because there's a blood bank, and cars are coming out, and we stop. And we look at each other. And I said, how you doing? He said, I'm good, man. How you doing? I said, I'm good. Now, he's sane as anybody else in this room. Like, straight sane. Young dude, but he's sane. And I said, yeah, it's kind of hot. He said, yeah, damn. He said, question for you, man. I said, what? He said, it's like 100 degrees out here. Why do you have a shirt and tie on? I said, you daggone right. And then he pulls off. He said, have a good day. And he keeps it moving. And I was like, stop. And then he gets to the corner, and there's a bunch of dudes up on the corner, like 4 or 5 dudes on the corner with skateboards and stuff. And all they're doing as he's riding up is this. Because he took some kind of bet that he would do it. And I'm riding up on these guys looking like a lollipop, for people that don't know, a sucker. And I said, I take my tie off, roll it up, take my shirt off, roll it up, put it in my bag, my satchel bag, take some water. He looked at me, and he's like, there it is. And then I go home. And I said, this whole time, and my sister was like, what'd he say? I said, he told me to take my shirt and tie off. She said, what'd you do? I took my shirt and tie off. So it's the perspective lens. So that leads to, and I'm gonna wrap it up in a second, but that leads to when you're home and you're working home and you're working in the office, just because you don't see a person doesn't mean they're not doing their part. The part now is not about butts in the seat. The part now is about results. Because we all have smaller workforces, we all have smaller teams, and the results speak for themselves. So now what we want to do, and in closing, I'm just going to say, because I'm coming to it right now, let me make sure there's nothing I missed. Didn't miss much. Okay, yeah, I did. So in every interaction we have with people, let me pause. Giants, you ready? You ready? No, this is good, because I want to make sure you can write this down if you wanted to. Okay, so in every interaction we have with people, there are 2 needs, okay? Anyone know what they are? Exactly. There are personal needs and there are practical needs. We spent a lot of time talking about the personal needs and the empathy. Like, how do we deal with, there's key principles involved with that. So what are the personal needs? To be valued, to be listened to and understood, okay? These are the skills. To be involved, to trust and be trusted, and to be supported. These are called key principles for the personal needs. So you need to know that a person's feeling okay, that they're there, so we have these conversations. But then, I do love the empathy of where we are going, but then there's also still the work has to get done. And that's called the practical needs. So there is this rubric called let me read it. It is called the institutional guidelines. So the guidelines it's how do you conduct this conversation? So that's the practical needs of the work being done and how do you hold people accountable to it. So it's pretty much, the guidelines are you open, you clarify why, like you open, like let's just talk about why we're here. You clarify, tell me how do you see this challenge? And then I tell you how I see it. Because now we're on a fact-finding mission of that clarity. And then we develop a plan. How do you think we should resolve this website thing? How do you think we should? Now I'm involving you in this conversation. But now I'm using those key principles of empathy, involvement, sharing, support, and esteem. And then when you tell me, then it's like, okay, so here's the agreement. So let me make sure we're good. Next week, you are going to do X, Y, Z. And then I'm going to do A, B, C. We're agreeing on that? You'd be like, yes. And then when we agree, now I can close this conversation out because now I have held you accountable and I am accountable something. And then now, as long as I use my soft skills as far as like the key principles on how I respond to you, the work still gets done. That makes sense? Because we can't just be happy, happy, joy, joy, I want to make sure you're good without the work getting done, because then we all be out of the streets. But what I will say in closing is we have to be kind to people. We have to show grace for people. We have to just be supportive of people. But even more importantly, we have to do all of those things for ourselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Keith Thompson. Round of applause. So we did finish up a little earlier than expected, but take a break, go see your business partners, use the facilities, visit your room. Our next session starts at 10:15. Thank you.